Everybody, welcome to today's webinar with Wosup. I'm Ellie, I'm one of the campaign managers here at Birchal, and just before I introduce Carl, Laura and Martin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land I'm coming to you from today. Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging. Today, I'm joined by Carl, Laura and Martin from Wosup. Birchal is working with Wosup on an upcoming crowdsourced funding offer. So what is crowdsourced funding, or CSF? Crowdsourced funding, or you may know it as equity crowdfunding, is a relatively new form of fundraising here in Australia that allows startups and small businesses to raise capital from a large number of smaller or retail investors and wholesale or sophisticated investors through an online platform, which is Birchal. Instead of seeking funding from traditional sources such as banks or venture capitalists, companies can turn to the general public, often their communities, to raise in exchange for equity in their business. Birchal Financial Services will be the licensed intermediary for the offer. The information discussed on today's webinar is for informational purposes and should not be considered as advice or a recommendation to invest. Please do your own research and always consider the offer document and general CSF risk warning before investing. And if you want to find out any more information on this, you can head over to our website at birchal.com. Now, how today's session is going to run, Carl, Laura and Martin are going to take us through a great presentation, which will approximately be about 20 to 25 minutes, all about Wosup, where they've come from, what they're looking to do with their capital raise, and then we'll switch to a Q&A session. So if you look to the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a Q&A bubble. And if you have any questions during today's session, please just pop it in that box as we go along, and then we'll answer them at the Q&A time at the end. So we are recording today's session. So if you do have to jump off early, that's totally fine. We'll send the recording around. So without further ado, I will hand over to Carl, Laura and Martin.
Thanks, Ellie. Everyone, my name's Martin. I'm the CEO and co-founder. We might do an intro.
Carl. Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. It's we can't see who you are, but hello, everyone who's there.
And I'm Laura, and I look after everything marketing for Wosup.
All right, let's get started. Look, thank you so much for giving us your time today. Wosup really has positioned ourselves over the last couple of years to be a sustainable solution for codes, venues, sponsors, and the like. We have started to look at new areas for expansion and other environments. And we do this because we're trying to leave a lighter touch on the environment and let people enjoy their passions as they would like to, and have as least amount of impact to the environment as possible. But to really show you what we've done, the best thing to do is for us to show you a video which we've created. It shows you all the activity since our last raise.
It's about 2.5 minutes long, so just bear with us.
Whenever I say yes, you just say no. Whenever you say stop, I start to go. Now is this what you want? Cause I don't know. It's gotta be more than words, so sure. Whenever I say yes, you just say no. Whenever you say stop,
These cups aren't real. They don't taste like plastic. They're good for the environment. Absolutely great. Great idea.
it's gotta be more than words, so sure.
They're great, you know. Enjoying it? Oh yeah, they're really good. They're really good.
They look good and they feel good in your hand. They'll taste even better. Mate, these are fantastic.
Better than plastic?
Way better plastic. Cold. Beautiful. They're good. I love the aluminium cups. They're brilliant. They don't fold when you drink it.
Whenever you say yes, you just say no. Whenever you say stop, I start to go. Now it's
Pick up the next one. Guess what? It's still bloody cold. Awesome.
Funny.
Drink in the cup perfect.
whenever I say yes.
Bloody brilliant, mate. Nice and cold. Don't crumple in your hand, they're beautiful.
Now is this what you want? 'Cause I don't know. It's gotta be more than words. So sure, be sure.
I've ever had. They keep very cool and they're easy to drink. I love them. I should have bought them in years ago.
Hilarious.
Oh, sorry. After you, Carl.
No worries. I hope you found that entertaining. It's actually, yeah, there's some pretty funny times there. It actually doesn't cover some of the most recent gigs we did. We did Pearl Jam on the weekend. I'm actually out at NG Stadium at the moment. We did Pearl Jam out here, which was Thursday and Saturday nights, and that was awesome. But I guess, look, just going into what we're doing, and what we're doing is the world uses 500 billion single-use plastic cups a year, and that's obviously a pretty significant amount. We estimate between, sort of probably about 910 million plastic cups are used within Australia, single uses. So we're really trying to tap into that waste market, because it's one of the most problematic things actually that we're facing with the planet at the moment. So we kind of like to think we're trying to do a bit of a game changer. Feedback's super positive. I'm a lover of the ocean. So nothing hurts me more than seeing plastic in the ocean. So that's sort of that's why we're doing what we're doing with good results.
And just on those results, this gives you a bit of an idea of the timeline since we started. We obviously we started just about a month before COVID hit. So during that time, we really did a lot of interrogation of the market. We worked with porridge rights holders, Lion and Asahi Beverages, the venues, operations, caterers, etc., to try and develop a model which was going to actually suit all facets of the sport and entertainment industry. And that's ultimately where we really started our focus, because a lot of us are in media and sporting backgrounds and operational backgrounds. So this was a natural start for us. And it's obviously a very, very big and high profile area to be able to implement change and community-based change. So you can see from this graph, we've been exceptionally busy over the last sort of 18 months. And as Carl said, we've just completed Pearl Jam and looking to expand into our contracts into 2025, which obviously with Sydney Showgrounds, and we're looking to implement a new location in Melbourne and also potentially Brisbane. But one of the reasons why that we're getting some really great feedback from venues and the industry alike is that we really do have a multifaceted solution. Not only are we sustainable, but in our investigations with market, we knew that to create a sustainable service like we are, and to build a reusable industry, we needed to be able to benefit most areas of the business that we're dealing with. So not only is it great sustainably, and operationally, we provided better drinking experience, but we needed to also be able to improve the bottom line. I think one of the main aspects of developing an environmental business is how do we make it an improved cost model, or even derive revenue for the people that we're talking to. and which is why I think we've actually built a really quite unique model. And the other thing, of course, here is that we actually provide a data analytics platform. So we provide that back to the venues that actually creates environmental data, reuse data, and we completely develop this bespoke to us. And the opportunity for this tech platform is really exciting. It means that we can deliver not only this kind of usage and operational benefit, but also we're delivering a consumer-based fan engagement tool. And I guess also, like you can see from our video and from Carl and I, we really do have that kind of challenger spirit, and Laura's part of that. You know, we're a really great team. We really enjoy what we're doing. We're immensely passionate about it, and you know, we're really keen to have partners such as yourselves to join us on this journey.
So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the customer value proposition, because as Marty just touched on, it is really expansive and it does cover like quite a few areas, which is what makes this product so good. So our clients directly are really the commercial side, but their clients are the fans. And as you saw in the video before, like the fans are a really key and important point to this whole business, because they absolutely love the drinking experience. So it is an improved experience over those plastic cups that used to kind of crush in their hands when they drank beer and made their beer warm. So I'm just going to start on the left-hand side here and talk you through this. We're going to start with the commercial side, and then we'll move on to the fan side. So first of all, we are sustainable. So we're an infinitely recyclable aluminium product. We've found that we get about 5 uses per cup, so we can wash and reuse that cup 5 times. And the reuse rate is above 75%, which we're actually really proud of. And that is based on the bins that we put around the venues and being able to actually collect the cups at the end of the game. Because some fans do love to take home a bit of a memento, which is why that rate isn't higher. But it is a pretty good rate. We're pretty proud of it. So we're up to 3 kilograms of carbon offset per cup via Green Fleet as well. So we give back to the environment in that way. And we've actually done a life cycle assessment that was peer reviewed. It's a peer reviewed certification, and it shows the low environmental impact that our cups have on, in their entirety, in their entire life cycle. So it's commercial and affordable as well. So it really is, and we've really crafted it over the last 18 months. It's a turnkey solution for venues. We really have seamless operations and delivery, and the venues actually get data and analytics back because we have a QR code on the cup where fans can scan and we collect data for them in that way. We've got new, more cost-effective manufacturing processes, and we continue to improve on that year and year. We're able to create different sizes of the cup based on the needs of the venue. We've got 568 ml, 425 ml, or 285 ml at the moment. We can do it in a raw or a matte finish, and also we can look at either renting or owning those cups for the venue. We have a brilliant tech platform that is actually attached to the QR code when the fan scans the QR code, that drives value from a data and a rewards point of view for the venue or for the sponsor, which is really valuable because that fan or the consumer actually has the cup in their hand for such a long time during the event. So we're right there, and they can scan that QR code. And we've also got lots of sponsors. So we normally have a venue and a sponsor on the cup as well. And there's value for the sponsor through that tech platform. As you saw from the video, it is actually a better fan experience. So this was a study that we did based on a trial at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. But 89% found that the beer or the drink actually tastes cooler. So it's a much better experience, and the cup feels better in their hand than the plastic one. So they're preferring drinking out of these aluminium cups than the plastic cups that we've replaced. And there also was a benefit to the venue. So an increase in 16% in beer sales. A lot of this came from the draft experience as well. Their draft was up 72% because, I mean, instead of buying cans, people just were really enjoying the taste of the beer from the actual Wosup cup. And as we know, draft is actually more profitable. We might not know, but draft is way more profitable for the venue per litre. So it's actually a really, really great return on investment for the venue. So we have extra rewards and prizes available to users via the QR code as well on the tech platform. And over 90% of users were in favor of making Wosup Cup permanent, which is a really great result because they just love that experience. So it's a really great commercial proposition. And then on the fan side, once again, it's a better drinking experience. Their drink stays colder for longer. The beer head actually lasts longer in the cup. And it is a more sophisticated vessel, which actually makes them drink more or drink more draft, that's for sure. It's better for the planet, which, especially the younger generation coming through, this is really important for them. So it's reusable and recyclable, and it eliminates plastic waste within these venues. As we saw on the other side, it's life cycle assessment, peer reviewed, and there's a certification around that. And then there's the feel-good factor of doing better for the planet, as opposed to plastic everywhere, which is kind of makes everyone feel a bit gross. The brand has a challenger spirit, as we're really kind of taking on that sustainability sort of positioning, and we're kind of really against the single-use plastic cups, sort of, the Wosup, which is war on single-use plastic, right? So we really have a challenger spirit as a brand as well, which people get behind. The extra benefits. So this is the reward platform mainly we want to talk about. So when you scan the QR code, it comes up with rewards, and the venues can then offer discounted food, drink, merch. We can do gamification in there, money can't buy experiences. It's a great way to collect data, but from a fan point of view, they can kind of win a whole lot of different things. I know we've looked at doing free tickets to events and things like that through the app as well.
Amazing, Laura. We can see why you're in marketing.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to me. What we do is we've aligned with a one of the only CSIRO approved companies that allows us to offset carbon with the program that we have with these guys, and with every cup use we can offset over up to 3 kilograms of carbon with every use, and this obviously is when you look at someone like Optus Stadium, for example. Optus probably go through a significant amount of single-use cups. Let's call it 1 million, which means we can actually offset up to 3 million kilograms of carbon for someone like an Optus Stadium or another stadium. That's just an example, but and that also goes on. That offset program allows whatever that key sponsor is. Let's say it was Optus Stadium, they would actually have the opportunity to call one of the rehabilitation areas that we're using, like the Optus Forest or something like that. So the marketing behind that opportunity is quite significant. And look, one thing that we've also done as well is everyone sort of is under the impression that that cans are actually a hugely environmental product, where our LCO, our life cycle assessment, actually indicated that cans aren't actually that great for the environment because they are still a single-use product. And though it is aluminium, which is infinitely recyclable, where we really find our benefit is the uses. And once we go past that 3, 4, 5 uses, it is significantly better than all the other materials. And that's a comparison up against PET, PLA, which is your compostables, single-use aluminium cans, and polypropylene reusables. So it's a standout. It was actually a bit of a when we first did the life cycle assessment, there was a little bit of fear, not really 100% certain how we would hold up as an aluminium product, but it stands up trumps by far. So we're pretty happy with that. Now, operations. If any of you are wondering how this whole process works, is once we've sort of agreed on the contract, we will arrive at a stadium. We will remove their single-use plastic cups, replace it with ours, piled up exactly the same way that they do plastic cups at a bar. And then when anyone comes up to the bar to order a drink, they'll basically receive a beverage, usually beer at this point, depending on which cup they've got. At this stage of the 425, the schooner is our most common cup. They'll receive one of those cups, enjoy their beer. They'll either leave it at the stadium on the floor, or we have single source collection bins around the venue. We usually work on about 1 bin per 1,000 patrons. So, for example, 30,000 event, we'd have 30 bins around the venue. Sometimes we load up a little bit more. And once the patron is finished with their drink, either on their way back to the bar, all they do is they place our cup into our return me bin, and we come through at the end of the event. We collect all those bins. We take it off site or to our hub. We wash, sanitize, repack, and send those cups back to the venue for the next event. And as I said, we get 4, 5, 6, depending on the state of the cup. If it comes back slightly damaged, we'll crush, bale, and recycle. But otherwise, it goes back into the reuse process. We just completed the ATC Spring Carnival as well, and data shows that out at Randwick we got an average return rate of about 81%, which is we were absolutely over the moon with that. And what we're finding is that what really benefits the reusable rate is the education that we can give to the patron either during the event or pre the event. And this usually sort of gets people behind the product pretty significantly, and that's where we see really positive rates. The case study. So we did 10 games up at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Queensland, which was we had no idea that the government was going to put us under the microscope and sort of really see what the data was like. They did audits on the red bins, on the yellow bins, to find out how many of our cups ended up in other bins, and it was super positive. It came back really positive. One thing for certain about our product, beyond the sort of sustainable environmental aspects of it, is the actual enjoyment. It's phenomenal. Before even people talk about the environment, people just cannot talk about how great the drinking experience is enough. So obviously we saw an increase in beer sales at those 10 games, and an increase in draft sales and a decrease in can sales, which, as far as we're concerned, is a much better step for the environment. 81% of patrons were aware of the special collection bins that we had, and that was due to the educational piece that we did prior to getting to the stadium. And a reuse rate of 83%, again, over the moon with that. 91.3% were in favour of reusables becoming a permanent fixture at these stadiums. 65% were stoked with the replacement of single-use plastic. So I don't know, the answer is in the pudding, I guess, with the product. It's really well received. People love it.
And thanks, Carlos. And one of the main areas that you'd all be obviously interested in how we can sort of fund the business and get the revenue ticking over, which is one of the most important things being an investor. There's a couple of main areas that we really focus on. One is that we work with venues and caterers, and by venues I mean shopping centres now, stadiums, and we're even talking to an airport at the moment. So the way we go about it is that we just charge an amount of money per use, as they would normally for a plastic cup. So I've got a plane going over the top. And that really does cover a lot of the base requirement for us from an operational and commercial basis. So we have spent a bit of time working with a manufacturer to build a cup, which is arriving in about February, March, which ultimately gives us a price per cost, or a cost per unit, the same as plastic, which is incredible. And that is absolutely all due to the work Carl has done with manufacturers overseas and developing a product which actually means that we can start delivering a better and more competitive price point. But one of the key things that we are doing, a lot of us have got a media background, and I know that some of you online today are from that business, but the really important thing is being able to get a brand in the hand, and the mobile phone and the dwell time for sponsors in venue. And this really came out of one of the key, I guess, challenges that sports sponsors have when they go to a venue, is that there's not really a way that they can educate and interact with a person with their brand while they're actually watching the game. They'll have a lot of signage around the ground, which is all due to one of our directors. But really, the main thing here is how do we interact with the patron while they're there and while they're sitting there and chatting to their mates. And so one of the key benefits came out was, well, we need to be able to provide a solution to these brands where they can engage with that person while they're in the venue. And coming from a complete tech standpoint, we developed a solution where just through the QR code, and this is one of the benefits coming out of COVID, obviously, and this idea came out of the QR code being ubiquitous across that period of time. But this really allowed us to activate a brand and money can't buy experiences and benefits and rewards for patrons for doing the right thing. So it's almost like a gift, and being able to provide that benefit to them. And what we've seen is that there's been such a big uptake, even giving away free tickets to games or signed jerseys or anything like that. We've done really well. We've had a 20% uptake, and even at the Giants, which we were doing the whole of the AFL season last year, we only had Giants benefits. So just for the Giants fans, and of course all the away team fans were also there, but given it only really benefited Giants fans, we got a 20% uptake, which is fantastic. As an engagement rate, that is amazing. And so we're working with other global brands right now where they're wanting to be able to use our product and be able to distribute that in venues, not only for their environmental and sustainability objectives, but to be able to put their brand in the hand of patrons while they're there. And by using their phone, they can scan and activate and take advantage of those offers. So it really is quite a interesting component of our business. It drives a lot more revenue, and we're able to then share in that revenue with the locations, whether it be property, sporting codes, venues, airports, etc. I guess one of the main areas is that you're interested in, how are we going to spend the money? Well, we have a lot of really great things about to happen in 2025. We've got a few long-term contracts that we're about to drop before Christmas, and even where Carl is right now, we've just only today really started our operations in a Sydney hub. We're working with the Melbourne hub down at Sandown, and this, by having a hub in each area, in each cap city, allows us to then grow from there. And the reusable industry is being supported quite significantly by environment ministers and through their plastics policy and legislation frameworks. We've been doing a lot of work with the state governments on that, and we've created a number of submissions with the Tasmanian government, the South Australian government, here in New South Wales. With the New South Wales EPA, we're working with them quite closely, and obviously also with the work that we've done in Optus Stadium in Perth. All these governments are starting to look and fund the reusable industry because they understand that the way to stop single-use products being used is by investing and supporting businesses such as ours. So we really are positioning ourselves as the business to really pioneer this new industry in the country. Also, we are, as I mentioned earlier, just on the new manufacturing style that we're doing. We also have beer trays that we're looking to develop, which are reusable, but also made of 100% cornstarch. We have the rights for a cornstarch product here, which is 100%, and it's the only 100% cornstarch material in the world. And as part of that, our real focus here is to be able to swap out all the plastic trays, go to venues with our product and also with our cups, and also with the beer tray for the cup to go in. This is something that's really easy for us to swap out. The venues don't really mind what beer tray they use as long as it's good and we meet their requirements as far as the cost base, which I believe we've done. So part of this investment will to actually set that up and running, and for us to be able to sell beer trays from 2025. There's 2 further technology releases that we're wanting to do. Currently, I guess we can scan the cup, gather information, provide offers and commercialization for sponsors, and provide deals and competitions. Where we're wanting to take it is for fans to be able to then add a Wosup card basically to their wallet, which is an offline environment, and then be able to go to any POS in the venues and then actually take advantage of an offer on site or with merch or with the sporting codes to help drive that value to the patron, but also to help add a bit of a sales benefit to the venues. And that data from the transaction history that we'll be able to get will obviously be aggregated, and then we'll be able to start developing this. The more venues we go to, the more aggregated data and information we'll get on beer sales, transaction history, that kind of thing, which will then develop into a SaaS platform, which we can then subscribe to venues, not just here, but Australia-wide. And it is our goal to be able to then derive as much analytics and data that we can to then be able to provide the cups to the venues ongoing, which will then in turn drive more value and more data and analytics. The last thing really that we're wanting to do is to support new contracts in other states. There's quite a lot of operational investment that goes on. There's a bit of a setup cost for us to go to a new state. Right now, we've got Victoria on our radar, and just this morning, I've had an email from a customer in Brisbane who wants to meet with us next week to look at developing a contract with them up in Queensland. So these are all really great news stories, but we need assistance. We need your help to be able to make all these great things happen. That's it from us. I'm happy to take any questions.
Indeed.
I'll have this.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. If you guys want to just stop sharing, we'll move over to the question section. If you look to the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a Q&A bubble. If you haven't already, pop your questions in there and we will go through and answer them now. I'm just going to kick off with the first question, which is from Ben. What is the cost comparison for stadiums of your offering against the current single-use plastic cups?
Good question. Well, from the easiest way to answer that is twofold. If we are retaining a 70% reuse rate, the cost of the stock that we get in is equitable to the cost of plastic per use. So plastic comes in all different shapes and sizes and different materials, but let's say, for example, we're talking about a PLA cup, which is 14 cents per use. Basically, with our new product that we're bringing in February, we'll be very close to that, if not lower on some occasions per use. But the washing and everything that we're doing on top of that generally sits at about 15 to 20 cents per use also. So that's why it's really important for us to bring everything in-house so we can keep being competitive. But from the sake of the venues, they seem to be that commercial model seems to be the model that is starting to gain traction.
Amazing. Thank you. Thanks, Martin. I'm going to move on to the next question, which is the idea behind the Wosup cups more so to be used for venues, or is there an intention to implement a strategy to have them usable for events with significant plastic cup use? If so, would there be a rough timeline?
Another good question. Yes, ultimately, venues were the starting point for us. We're a startup, so we had to pick a niche where we thought we could make the biggest impact and fastest. But after being in this business and operating for about 3 years, we understand that there's a significant opportunity for us to pioneer the reusable industry. And I'll forward to Carl on the different products we're looking to build, but from an environmental standpoint and from a distribution standpoint, which is what we're talking about, all the work that we've done with state governments, there's a significant opportunity for us to expand out of venues, go to airports, go to office buildings, go to shopping centres. Even work we've done with the shopping centre group just recently, who've agreed for us to do a trial and pilot as the first reusable company in Australia to do so at a shopping centre. We're looking at about 110 million cups used amongst shopping centres nationally. So it is a significant opportunity. Even if we can remove 10% of those with a brand on it, that is a very, very valuable audience, but also a great way for us to be able to commercialise it, but also to remove plastic from the system.
Yeah, we're probably about, Europe's probably 10 years ahead of us at this stage in the reusable industry. So look, it's a tough nut to crack, but once people sort of get on board with the reusables, it's and operationally we're set up in each state with our hubs. We'll be able to service multiple products, bowls, plates, cups, the whole lot, and that's certainly something on our radar. We're starting out with cups in venues such as the stadiums because it's a reasonably easy controlled environment. But obviously, if we're to go down the path of shopping centres, for example, and food halls, etc., that's where the plates and the bowls and everything else comes into play. So it's a significant opportunity to make multiple venues completely waste free.
And there's a lot of I guess innovations happening in this space. So there's a company called Tomra, and if you're in New South Wales or Victoria, you might be aware of Tomra Cleanaway, who provide the return and earn vending machines. They're actually called reverse vending machines. I had a meeting with the CEO of Tomra Cleanaway just the other day, and there's certainly opportunity for us to work with a company such as Tomra, who are trialing reverse vending in different locations, and certainly that could be a way that we could incentivize people to return product at these environments by giving them like you do a return and earn type benefit, which is supported by the state governments. And so that is something that we have provided as part of our submission to the New South Wales EPA.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I'll move on to the next question, which is, what does your P&L look like currently? Where have your funds come from thus far?
Well, we've self-funded it completely, other than a Birchal raise that we did just about 18 months ago. So we are completely bootstrapped, as they say, and we're looking to still find a strategic investor that can help us sort of grow here, but also potentially overseas. So that is still very much on our radar, but it's like we have to lock in all the contracts, get all that happening. We need some community-based support and people that are passionate about what we're trying to do to help get us and keep extending our runway, so then we can have time to be able to facilitate contracts, get these contracts up and running, so that we can attract a much bigger fish who can help us drive forward, basically.
Yes, amazing, thank you. We've got a question here that says, how many customers are you contracted with currently and on what terms?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of this will be in the offer doc, but we are contracting with a venue group for 25. In actual fact, Carl's sitting right in their office right now. And we're working with a racing group in Melbourne, which I'll give you a hint, has Sandown as one of their locations. And we're working with them to begin in February next year. Racing has been pretty good for us. We're currently with the Australian Turf Club, which has Royal Randwick and Rosehill Gardens. We work with Lion very closely and seem to be with Asahi Beverages. So we are very much out there working with brands, working on our distribution. We've done a tender out at Optus Stadium, which go through about 3 million cups a year. So we're very much there. We're very much at the coalface of helping drive plastic legislation. Obviously, with plastic bans coming in the next sort of 12 months, we think that there's probably within the next 12 to 24 months, every state will have banned plastic cups. So we're right there at the coalface to act when those bans start coming in as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks, Martin. Next question is from Paul, and he's asked, what percentage of current revenue comes from venue charges, sponsorship, and the tech platform?
That's a good question. Well, right now, we're about 50-50 as far as sponsorship. Sponsorship actually has probably just taken over the cost per use from the venues. So the sponsorship piece is really exciting. This is, I don't know if you guys can see. Oh.
You might have to hold it in front of your face.
Oh,
there you
go. We're working with a global rideshare brand to trial cricket and other events during the summer. And they have actually put basically a hold on us with AFL next year, which is immensely exciting. So they want first rights to AFL if we hit a certain target of acquisitions. That is something which we're really confident that we can achieve. And so you'll see that campaign coming out. But that is a 6-figure deal across like four to 5 games. So when I said before that sponsorship is a really exciting component of our revenue piece, it really is. As long as we're covering all our operations and cup purchasing and we're making a margin on all of that, the sponsorship really becomes cream on top. And we do need to share that with our partners. So whether it be Cricket Australia or the venue, but that then just incentivise them further for us to become more stuck in their operational program and also their sponsorship program, because we're generating revenue for them, not just being a supplier.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's a partnership. I've got a really interesting question here that says, it's great to see some strong environmental outcomes here. You have some really interesting points about the customer experience and data on increased sales of alcohol, and that they're also conscious of research in other fields that suggest links between alcohol consumption and sporting events, and increases in domestic and family violence. I wonder if this is an area of social responsibility as a consideration in the business plan, or it might be moving forwards.
Yeah,
I guess
you answer that.
Yeah, look, I guess with that, with the rugby Australia event that we did at Combank Stadium, we sponsored. Well, we put on the cup a sponsor for Hearts of Rugby, which was dealing with a charity, and they actually got the biggest uptake, the biggest support from that charity they've ever had. So look, it's certainly something that we try and do. We've engaged also disability services for the servicing of our products. So look, we are a pretty socially aware brand, and it's very, it's super important to us to make sure that it's a real social enterprise, that we're really sort of profit for purpose. We try and put back in to the business, back into the environment, but obviously we need to be sustainable as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're prepared to look at all those opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a question here that says, who carries the risk for loss of stock? This person has said they can potentially see a large loss reliant on beer drinkers progressively getting drunk with each beer. I'm sure you get a lot of that, people taking the home, using it at home for everyday use. Yeah, how are you carrying the risk for the loss of stock?
Another good question. We model every venue we go to. We model on 70%. Now we've done about 52 in total in just many different environments. So the more we do, the more the data tells us exactly what we can expect from each venue. Behavior is quite standard as far as racing, as opposed to rugby games, as opposed to NRL and etc. We do know that certain behaviours, depending on the code, will achieve different results. But we have factored all that in. So we do factor in a 30% loss every game we do. If we're hitting over 70%, we're really happy. In actual fact, if we hit over 70%, we're making more money than we were otherwise. So we are learning a lot more than we were, say, 18 months ago. If the venue is buying the product, then ultimately it becomes their responsibility. But if we're providing our services, it's ours.
Yeah, for sure. I have another question here that says, it's an interesting one about recycling. So how do you recycle the used product? Does it go into an existing recycling stream, i.e. the yellow bins at venues, or is there an intent to set up a dedicated recycling stream for this product specifically?
Yeah, so at venue we have our single source collection bins, where we ask patrons to obviously put the cups into our bins. We also, at the end of an event, certainly out here at an Energy Stadium, we have a really great support of a company called Kulin, and they do the bowl pick for us at the end of the event, and any cups that are left between the seats, they put aside, they put it in our compound, and then we come back and obviously put that into our process of cleaning, and then we start the process again. Interestingly enough, our damage rate is so minimal. It's actually Pearl Jam, we lost a few, but the damage rate is minimal. I think it's at about, if I remember right, Marty, our figures are about 0.5% of cups were coming back damaged, with what was actually put into our bins. Yeah. Look, there is a bit of a, it is hard to control what's going in the yellow and the red bins, but we have got process in place to collect all that. Like, for example, I know that the return and earn process, we've sort of chatted with some of the people that do the sorting of the return and earn, and if ever they see our cups, they put them aside. We go back into that venue and collect them later. But we are again, it's all education, because you're right, people do get drunk, they do put it in the wrong bin, but we put everything in place to stop that from happening. Fortunately, with aluminium, it's probably the most valuable item in everyone's recycle bin, and everyone is very, very well rehearsed knowing the value of aluminium, and so it's a product of high recyclable value for that reason.
Yeah, I guess also, Ben, there's an opportunity for us to work with aluminium manufacturers on closing our loop, and you know, we are in conversations with one of those, and we have been for quite some time, and it's just, they're big companies, and for us leading to the Brisbane Olympics in 2032, and our relationship with Stadiums Queensland is such that, you know, we would like to be there to be able to deliver, I guess, product to help make that event more sustainable. And one of the key learnings from the Paris Olympics was that they used plastic, and the plastic was seen as a bit of a disaster.
I remember seeing the news. I remember
they got left everywhere, and they got crushed, and you know, it was a bit of a debacle. Certainly from Brisbane, they've learnt from that. The Queensland state government is pretty keen to have a really good news story as far as using a homegrown company to help deliver reusables to the Olympic Village, and also throughout all the venues in Queensland. The manufacturer that we're talking to has sites in Gladstone, which is in Queensland. So we are thinking about that. Now that is 10 years away, or 8, but it goes really quickly, and we just want to make sure that we're positioned to be that company to work with the Brisbane Olympic Committee to make the Brisbane Olympics more sustainable.
Yeah, look, to completely close that loop for us would be absolutely amazing. I mean, so that's a real goal for us, to crush, bale, recycle all within, to manufacture, crush, bale, and recycle, and then reproduce, manufacture again our cups in Australia would be pretty outstanding to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a question here that I don't know if it's a simple answer, but it's coming from Andrew. Did your LNC take the washing and wastewater management into account? If you roll this product nationally, how many washing facilities would you need? And then what kind of impact would that have on the environment?
Yeah, so look, the life cycle assessment did it. Look, we're manufacturing up in China at the moment. We had to allow for transport, weight, water, electricity, everything. That was all included in our life cycle assessment. It was beyond just material, and we had to include that whole process from transport to washing to water to everything. So yes, it has been included.
Awesome. Brilliant. Okay, I think we'll wrap up with one last question. I can just see a question from Nishant that said, are the products manufactured in Australia? I think, Carl, you just sort of answered that in your previous answer, but wrapping up with one question, do you consider this business as, 2 options, a media marketing and sponsorship vehicle, or a sustainable packaging and alu consumables business?
It's a good question. Carl, I might take this.
All yours, buddy.
It says, please don't say both. Pick one.
I'm not allowed to say both. I'm not allowed to say both, but can I answer it in this way and just say that ultimately, for us to grow internationally, we do need the backing of sponsorship, media, and technology. Ultimately, it's a very, very key component of ours, and certainly the media industry as a whole is after more sustainable opportunities for them to drive their brand engagement with people at a situation in out-of-home areas, and the out of home industry is far burgeoning, and this is just another way that we can deliver a sustainable outcome from an advertising perspective. That being said, being sustainable is the heart of everything that we do. So we are a socially aware company, and whilst we've got the sustainable opportunity for sponsorship and everything else, that's how we go. So it's the cup, if I may say, JP, is the mechanism that drives all this value for people in a situation where they can make better choices. So I hope that's not too much of a political answer, but that's the answer I've given you. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's great. I saw there's some other questions that have come in through the chat that are kind of wanting to explore financials or perspectives, but anything you want to dig into on that side of things will all be.
Can I answer Aaron's question down there?
Yeah, of course, we've got some time.
Yep. So Aaron, every cup delivers about 3 cents per unit as an aluminium recycled product. So we can only create 500 kilogram bales. Now, it takes about 20,000 cups for us to be able to, 17,000 cups for us to fulfill a bale. And once that bale is done, we can then sell that bale at about $2,000 a ton. So if that might give you a bit of an answer. So yes, there is an aftermarket value for the product.
Yeah, for sure. Every stage has been accounted for in its life cycle. Awesome. So yeah, anything in terms of, there's a few questions coming in around perspective or financials, all that information will be in the offer document, and you can go through that information there. But thank you so much, guys, for such a great presentation. Thank you for everyone that's joined today. As I mentioned, the recording of this webinar will be sent around for everyone that registered in case anyone missed out. The expression of interest campaign for Wosup is live for another couple of days. So if you haven't already, just jump onto the Birchal platform and check out their pitch video and company profile. The early access offer campaign will be open on the 3rd of December. So make sure you get your expression of interest in to have access to the offer document and all the key terms of the offer before it goes public. And on that, thank you again. Thanks, everybody, and goodbye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.